So this is another line, ladies and gentlemen, where I think you're going to be surprised how much there actually are. And I've only got half of them.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mando number 5.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel, Mando number 5, and I'm Keith Guppy. So welcome to episode number 31 of my figure focus line, where I look at all the modern Star Wars lines that have been released since 1995. And we are nearing the end. But this week we're going to look at droids. Not the run-of-the-mill sets that came out with the various lines that we've talked about in the past, such as the Saga ones and the one I've just shown you. This week we're going to focus on the Disney Exclusive Build-a-droids, which can be broadly put into two big groups. One would be the actual Build-a-droid figures, where you go to the park and you actually build them, and then you get the pre-packed exclusives. Now, believe it or not, there were 44 exclusive droids that have been launched since 2000, I think about 17, and we're going to go through the whole lot of them in a minute. But it actually started back in 2015 for the Disney Parks exclusive sort of booths, or where you could build the droids. And I'm just going to play you a short video, which will give you a bit of a flavour of what was available. So the Build-a-droid figures first came out on these black cards, which were, and they had a bit of a sort of hyperdrive sort of theme going on in the background. They came out in the double packs, as you see here, but they also came out in singles as well. And at the park, you had a choice of obviously what size bubbles you got, the double or the single. And then on the back of them, this one shows it better. On the back, you had labels where you could fill in the top and put down whatever you wanted to call the droid. Now, there are hundreds of combinations of these droids. Now, this is wave 1. It came out in 2012. And then you had wave 2, which came out in 2015. And what they did, they changed this blue artwork card. It's got a droid emblem on the, in the background on the card. The blue card. Again, you can put a sticker in here. So they changed, and they only had singles. But I'll just run through how many combinations of different bits, pieces there were in the lines. I mean, here's a picture here now with someone, Martin from a long time, sent me this picture, and it's supposed to represent all the droids you can possibly combination you can get, but I don't think that's quite right. I think there's actually thousands, but on this picture here, you see over 300 different droids, and he seems to have grouped them into the main colors. But just to go through them, wave 1 in 2012 had 15 different domes, 12 different bodies, and 4 different hats. And then there was a wave 2 in 2012, which had another 12 different domes, 4 new hats, including Yoda, Goofy, Indiana Jones, and Jack Sparrow hats. And then you had the normal Mickey hats, and I think there were about 4 of those in the first wave. And then in 2015, they launched another 11 domes, 7 different bodies, 4 more different hats. You had the sombrero, which I've got one here, hat. You had Mickey's ears, Oswald the rabbit ears, and you even had an Imperial officer's hat, just like that. So loads of combinations. And then in 2015, there was a second wave, and that had 14 different domes, 7 different bodies, 3 different hats. You had Mickey's sorcerer hat. You had, I've got one here. You had Mickey Sorcerer's hat, as I said. You had Abe Lincoln's top hat, like this. And you had a blue baseball hat. And then wave 3 you then had four more domes, one Santa hat, and then later on in 2017 you had 21 heads for protocol droids, and you had 14 bodies. And you can see by all the pictures, I mean, that makes a massive lot of different figures you've got. I mean, I've got quite a few here. I've got the one with the black Mickey ears. I've got the baseball hat one. Now these have been built in Disney, and people just randomly put different combinations in. But now, if you want to get these, you probably pay anywhere between 15-20 quid a pop. And then, like I said, there's probably there's at least 300 mainline combinations. What I've done today, as I always do, I'll price them at the end and tell you how much I think this collection is worth and what I need to get. But for the purpose of that, I've just done the domes, and there's 77 domes. So I've just multiplied 77 by the price of the figures that I think they're about £15 each. So that'll be part of it. And you'll also notice that as the Build-a-droid depots or Build-a-droid stations evolved, they did change quite a lot. They started with like a basic little booth to a full-blown centerpiece of any store in Disney, which you can clearly see from these photographs. Now, as I said earlier on, you also got the exclusives that are already built. This is the first one that was released back in, what was the date? Back in 2015. The first one, there's been 44 of these so far. They generally follow the Halloween theme, Expo anniversaries, and the holiday editions. And this year they've actually launched an Easter one for a change. So that's generally when they get released. They're mostly on the blue cards, but there are some exceptions that I'll show you a bit later on. And like I said, there's 44 of those. And on top of that, for every major film release, you get a 4-pack or variances of. And this is for Ahsoka. So just gives you a flavour. Same sort of colour theme, same sort of backing the blue themes going on with these, with the classic Droid Factory writing there. There are some exceptions. There are some special depot droids. There are some colour changing droids we'll look at. There is believe it or not, a Sandcaller, which we'll look at. Which is a Droid Factory exclusive one that a lot of people don't know about. So we've got a packed episode today. And you'll also notice that as the Build-a-droid depots or Build-a-droid stations evolved, they did change quite a lot. They started with like a basic little booth to a full-blown centerpiece of any store in Disney, which you can clearly see from these photographs. And I almost forgot, there are a number of Pride pieces as well, with the sort of Pride logo in the darker colour scheme, card back, with the heart on the back, etc. So they did a few singles and they did multi-packs as well in the Pride theme. And again, you've got the heart-shaped symbol on the back. So we'll look at those as well. But let's start with the exclusives. And as I said, there are 44 of them. So let's look at the 44 exclusive Park Droid Factory droids that were released. Now they started in 2015. Most of the prices of these, you can get between about £20 and £70. Although it's very difficult to pin down numbers on these because they're much more plentiful in the United States, and in the UK, on eBay in the UK, there isn't many. So it's all about supply and demand. So many of these are probably around a £70-80 mark just because they don't ever turn up in the UK. Generally, the older they are, the more expensive they are, but there are 2 or 3 that are 100 plus figures, and one's probably nearly a £200 figure, which I'll show you a bit later on. But yeah, I've got about half of them, which is a bit disappointing, but it's not until you really get into doing a bit of research you realise how many there are. And I thought, I've got loads here, and I thought I had all of them, but I only have about half. So anyway, let's get into it. Let's whittle through them pretty quickly. Now, the first one was released in 2015, which is one I've not got, which is a Diamond Jubilee version, a really nice looking blue and silver carded droid, R2D60 is where it all started. The next was this one, the holographic R2D2. Again, probably about a £50 figure. The first time you've seen R2D2 in a holographic form in that scale. You've seen small ones before, but not in that scale. So that was a bit of a first. Then in 2015 we had R4D3, which is a D23 biannual com release. Again, about a £50 figure. And then you had the first of the Xmas droids, which was R2H15 from 2015. And this is where, you know, those Christmas droids started, and that's got a little sort of Santa hat on it. They're all a bit, you know, as Martin Long quite rightly said, that these are all a little bit gimmicky, and some people just don't like them. I love droids, so I collect them, but I know they're not to everyone's taste, and I get that. And then next you had R5M4, which is a May the 4th release. I think probably the only time we've got May the 4th written on a card. So yeah, quite a cool yellow and black droid looking droid. And as I said, these backs are all pretty much standard. They have a sort of a spec picture on the back of these. So that's R5M4 from 2016. Then you had the first Halloween droid. And these are all, like I said, a bit gimmicky. R2 Boo. So we had variances on that quite often. I think this might be one of the ones that lights up in the dark. But a pretty cool droid. In any case, again, the same sort of back. Retail price was $12.99. That one now would probably cost you about £50 to get. So there you go. Then you had the next Xmas droid, which is a red one with a green hat. And I'll obviously put pictures of these as we go. Not got that one. And then for the 40th anniversary, they released this, which is a bit unusual. And again, they've only done this probably once, and they've gone back to the throwback to the racetrack Star Wars scene. The picture in Tatooine in the desert, and you got R2D2 and C3PO, and like a sandy effect R2D2. Really nice double pack actually. But you can get this for about £45, so pretty common. That's one of the more common ones, believe it or not. And on the back you've got a great picture of R2D2 and C3PO. So yeah, a bit unusual, that one is part of the line. And then you had a Rebels one, C110P chopper. First time Rebels had been released as a droid like that. So that was in 2017, about £40. Then you've got R3DO, which is the red droid. Again, about £40. And then in 2017 you had BB-8, which again is about £40. And then another one I've got is R5D3, which is again a D23 biannual com anniversary droid. Really like that actually. Nice, really nice silvery effect droid with his like wizard's hat. Same back as usual. So yeah, that's one I've got, and that one there is probably about £60. So we're moving now into sort of the £60-70 bracket for a lot of these until we get some of the latest releases. So there you have it. So that's R5D23. Then we had R3B0017, which is like a green holographic type looking droid. It glows in the dark. And I've got that one reserved for me from somewhere, which I'll hopefully pick up at some point. So we'll have that one very soon. So that was B0017. Then we've got a 2-pack from The Last Jedi. Again, a bit unusual. Two really striking, really nice droids. You've got R4X2 and Y5X2 as well. Really nice. Love the colours of these. Really nice double pack. And that's reasonably common, and for a double pack it's only about £60, so you know, a bit more value for money there in terms of exclusivity and the fact you get two droids in it. So that was that one. Then after that you've got another Xmas droid. The one in this one's got little sort of hook which picks up cups and stuff, so it's like a servant droid. So that's a gold and white colour, quite nice. That one would cost you about £40. Then you've got another Halloween droid. This one here, which has got a real cool colour scheme. I don't know whether it's supposed to be some sort of pumpkin colour or whatever, but it's like a lollipop Yeah, I think it's probably to do with the ice cream or something like that. But again, it's got this hook on the top. That's R4B0018 from 2018, obviously. So that's that one. And then you've got the Xmas Droid R418 with a full drinks tray with him, and it's like a kind of see-through colour effect for that Xmas Droid for 2018. Then we move on, another Halloween droid, and these are all, you're getting the theme now, R5BOO19, B0019. But I mean, this is probably one of my favourite ones. This is kind of in the skeleton theme, which is really, really cool. I really like that. Really nice looking droid. And some of these were brought together in a 4-pack later on, which they were basically just repackaged in a 4-pack, which is a little bit lazy. But anyway, so that one there would probably cost you about £40. Then a few that I haven't got, you had another Xmas Droid, which is BB B19H, which is kind of a pumpkin type style one, but it was the Christmas one for 2019. Yeah, then you had BBH20, which is a BB Red Droid for Christmas 2020. And then you had two very rare items. You had two that were only exclusive in the droid depots at Disney parks. And that was CB23 from the Star Wars Resistance ride, and Forlom. And both of those are in a different style card back, as you can see. Sort of robotic card sort of style back. I'll put some pictures, but they're very, very hard to get hold of. And then you had probably the rarest of the lot, which is a Pride droid. Which I think was, yeah, it was the first Pride droid they released back in 2020, and that was R2RN8W in a really cool rainbow effect picture. Now that droid there would probably cost you about £200 plus. Now, if you want to get extremely rare, I don't know what the release number was on it, but they're very, very hard to get. UK almost impossible. And in the States, you're paying £180 to £250, I think, for that droid. Very, very difficult to get hold of. And then we move on to another Halloween droid. R6W1CH, obviously Witch, from 2021. That's not too bad. You probably get that for about £25, £30. Then you're back to the Xmas droids. And I've got this one. This one's from 2021. R5 D33R deer, and obviously he's got his antlers there, so again a pretty cool looking droid. I mean, yeah, it is gimmicky, but you know, I quite like these. Generally these come out, in my experience, the later ones come out in the Disney stores in the UK for about £15, but they sell out pretty fast, and then you're paying double, triple for them on eBay. So that's D5 D33. Then you've got another unusual one. And this is the droid from the Chandelier Star line, or the Galactic Cruiser Guest Hotel giveaway. So these are quite rare. I mean, they peaked at probably about, I don't know, £100 plus originally. Now they're down to about £65. There's two of these. And we'll talk about the other one in a bit, which is a lot more expensive. But this one is probably about £65 now, but it's got a absolute cracking card back, really, really nice. And there's the back of the card of it. Very, very hard card stock. It's a double layer, so the bubbles embedded within the card, because it's a 2-layer card back. So really, really nice. Feels like a bit of quality, and that's one of the more expensive ones. So yeah, a really nice addition to this line. And then you've got the second Pride one they did, which is from 2022 for Pride Month, and it's another BB-8, BB Proud, it's called, that one there. That's not very much money. You can probably get that for about £15. And then moving on, then you've got a really nice one, and one of my sort of favourites is this R2W50, and I think I might have shown him on the Christmas special video, but this is the golden anniversary for Walt Disney. It's got a really nice logo on the top. Sorry, really nice logo at the top there. The cardstock's a lot thicker. It's like a really like a metallic effect. Looks really nice on the shelf, and this droid. And there's the back. Nothing too fancy about the back, but really nice. Again, one of my favourites. That one there is probably, believe it or not, only about £45. You know, you think that'll be a bit more money, so I don't know how many released for that one. But if anyone does know about release amounts for exclusive droids, then please let me know. That was that one. And then you've got another BB-8, and sorry, no, we've done that one. We've got Ahsoka droid, so in Ahsoka colours, R7TNO. Obviously, Ahsoka Tano. That's what it stands for. Really nice yellow and blue version. Now this one is a lot of money. I can't find them for probably less than £100 at the moment. Whether that's a normal price, I mean, you know, I would probably pay £50, but no more than that. But yeah, you know, that's probably the second highest value one at the moment that there is R7TNO in these striking orange and blue Ahsoka Tano livery. So yeah, so that's that one. And then you've got the next Halloween one. You've got R7 FNG Fang. They do get pretty corny, these names. And that one's from 2022, but you can probably pick that up for less than 20 quid, probably about £15. I think the top of these lights up in the dark, like quite a few of the Halloween ones do. Then you've got you had B2 EME, which is quite an unusual droid. So that's from Rogue One. So that's the sort of square-looking droid that was quite famous in that series. That one there is quite hard to get hold of. You probably have to pay about £50 for that one. And then after that, you then had C1940, a chopper type droid, which is a D23 Expo Anaheim Mickey Mouse special. And again, that one's probably about £50. So I haven't got that one. And then moving on to 2022, you had another holiday droid, R6 SNO, with the bowler hat and the little scarf. So that one there, and that one's quite easy to get hold of. You'd probably be looking at about £15-20 to get hold of that one. Then you had the very rare D309 droid. Now this goes together with the other Galactic Cruiser edition. This one is very hard to get hold of. This one's probably about 130, 140, maybe £150 to get hold of. So it's much more difficult to get than the R2 type unit. But really nice, really thick cardstock again, and makes it look really cool. And then you've got R2S4M, which was the Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary version. I'm assuming he's in Jabba's palace, because you've got a picture of Jabba's palace in the background. That one there would probably cost you about £20 or £30, but it's got a nice drinks tray and a nice red stripe down the front. That one there. Then you've got another chopper type droid, C1 MST4. This, I don't think it's got any particular reason this came out. I don't think it's a Halloween or anything like that. But that came out in 2022. Might be a Halloween actually, because it's about the right time, but I couldn't find out whether it is or not. So you might be able to let me know about that one. And then you had another holiday droid with a big bow on the front, R8H23. Yeah, you can't not realise that's a Christmas droid, but quite a distinct dome on the R8 droids. Again, that one's probably only about £15 to buy. Then they brought out, together with the red droid, they brought out another sort of C3PO protocol droid. This is TC14 from the Phantom Menace, the second iteration we've had of this droid. So again, probably about £25. Comes with a drinks tray and the flask, so pretty cool, but about £25 for that one. Then you've got another Pride Month droid, very similar actually to the really expensive one, but he was probably bought up in a larger quantity because people thought they'd get on the bandwagon. But this one here you can probably pick up for about £25. Very distinctive colours. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's about the third or fourth Pride droid that they've brought out. And then you've got yet another Halloween droid, and that is R5 Zombie. So with his kind of head eating away. Now we're getting to sort of late last year now, so very recent droid. Pretty cool, very novel, and quite. I would imagine again he probably lights up in the dark. This droid. And then for what I've got, finally, you've got the latest holiday droid, which is R4 Tree. The green one, supposed to look like a Christmas tree, I guess, which came out at Christmas. And again, you can probably pick up that for about £25. The latest ones that have come out, there is a Easter droid, which is the first time I've done Easter droid, and that's R2 Bunny. And there is, I think, a chopper type Pride droid. I haven't got that one wrote down, but I'll put a picture up of him, which has just come out as well. So, you know, it's an ongoing theme here, but as I said, the 2 or 3 highlights. So the Pride Month R2N8W, which is about £200. The Ahsoka Colours one, about £100. And then the second Galactic Cruiser one, which is about £140. So let's look at the multi-packs. Yeah, so let's look at the multi-packs. And some of these are very hard to get hold of because they've got some very, very unique droids that are only released in the multi-packs. In fact, the majority of these you can only get in the multi-packs. Again, they start in 2015 with The Force Awakens. I've not got that one, but I'll pop a picture up now for you. I won't name all the droids inside, but there are some really, really unique, nice ones. And then the first one I've got from 2016 is a Rogue One set here. And you've got C2B5, R2BHD, R3M2, and R5SK1. I mean, very unique. I mean, that is very unique. Like a brown coloured droid with the clearish dome. And then you've got the completely silver one. So, very unique. On the back, you've just got the picture of them lined up. And that retail for $29. Most of these now are in the region of 60, 70, 80, 90 or £100, these droid sets. Very quite in demand and quite hard to get hold of. So that's the first one, the Rogue One set. And then you had a Clone Wars set. Again, really unique set, really unusual. You've got a brown droid with like the teeth on him. You've got a really smart coloured drinks droid there. Really nice set. R5013, R2C2, R5S9 and R5P8. Again, probably about 65 quid to get hold of that set there. Again, you just got an image on the back. So quite hard to get hold of. Then you've got another one that's very difficult to get hold of, is the Clone Wars set. And again, you had 2 really nice, unusual silver and blue effect droids. Really, really nice droids. So you had Dio, the little droid, R5J 2JE, R6 LE5 and R2 SHP from the Rise of Skywalker. And a bonus point for anyone who remember the scenes that these were in, because I can't. So yeah, I mean, that one there would probably cost you, Rise of Skywalker probably cost you about, I don't know, £80 probably. So there you have it. They also did The Last Jedi in 2017, which has had some BB-8 droids, and I'll put a picture of that up, and that's about £45. The Solo one, I'll put up from 2018. They're about £50. And then you had 2 really unusual colour changing sets. They change colour. I think it's either the water or temperature. But they were like the Droid Depot sets that are very difficult to get hold of. There was 2 sets of those, both in 2019, and they are probably £70-80. I mean, you just don't see them in the UK very often. So you know, you probably have to get those for the States, and you probably end up paying 120 quid all in with postage. And then you had one Droid Depot set I have got, which is a bit more common in the UK, is this one. And again, it's got the Droid Depot sort of scheme around it. They went with the colour changing droids and the single releases. You got R1J1, BR72, L4R6, C2B9E and Ego 1. But yeah, I mean, that was quite expensive. So that was $60 that set. Now to get it here in the UK, you probably have to spend £100 to get that set. Although at least you can get it in the UK from time to time. And then you had a Christmas set, which I mentioned in my Christmas episode. That's very hard to get hold of, and that would probably cost you about £100 for that holiday set of holiday droids. And then you've got the Obi-Wan set. Now, this is where they started moving away from R2 droids into the bigger droids, whatever droids they could find in the series. So here you've got R3-T4, Ned B, the yellow droid. You've got a Viper probe droid, and you've got one JAC, which is like a Zucus type droid. So really unique, quite nice, but you can probably pick that set for about £70. And again, you've got the pictures on the back for that. Then there was a Mandalorian set, and again this set was in quite a lot of demand because you had the guy that was rowing the barge in the Mandalorian. Very, very unique set. It's Build-a-droid, so I don't know whether you can interchange the bodies for other droids. I suspect you can, but a really nice set, but not too expensive. You probably get that for £50 or £60 now. So you've got R6D3, MA13, R1, and NOAH droid, which again is quite very unique with its type, with its dome. Really quite a unique droid. I love, really nice set again. And there's a picture of him, in the barge with the lava scene. So there you go. That's the Mandalorian set, and then you've got basically a repack of the Halloween individual figures, which is a bit lazy from my opinion. So we've seen all these in an individual run, and that Halloween set's probably about £45 because it was released in the single versions. So yeah, about £45. And then we've got the only Pride multi-pack they've done, but it's a pretty cool set actually. I quite like all the different colours. It reminds me of some of the Lego sets you can get with all the different colour figures. So you get 6 in here. There you go. They're all R2 or R5 or R6, whatever units, but all in the Pride colours. That one there, not a lot of money really. Probably get about £50. So not that popular a set, if I'm honest. But it looks pretty cool. So that's a Pride set. And then you had the last set they've done in 2023 during the multi-packs was the Ahsoka multi-set. So you had Chopper, C1-10P, C4R4C, Professor Yang, Hu Yang, and RD3 from the Ahsoka series. So yeah, that's these are very unique figures. Again, that one there probably cost you about £40 because that's the most recent release. So there you have the multi-packs. So let's have a talk about the other unusual pieces that you got from the droid factories. And there was another number of things. You had these mystery crates that came out, and these came out in 2 waves. There was a wave in 2021, and then this wave in 2024. And this is where you get the random crates, and you don't know what's inside. So they came in these. The later series was the lighter sort of silvery blue box with the black baggy inside, and you didn't quite know what you're going to get. So a bit of a fun. There were 6 to collect in each series. I'll pop some pictures of the actual droids you can get. So they would probably cost you about £25 each. And then you had, and I've gone through this in a bit of detail in the past, the Droid Factory Advent calendars. We've had 2 so far. Not very imaginative because they bought both the versions were basically Sandcrawler, but some really cool droids inside. And I'll pop up some pictures of ones you can get with these calendars. The calendars now are probably between £70 and £80, £90 to collect, and I'm just hoping next year they do one a little bit different and move away from the Sandcrawlers. Some other things they did which are really interesting. One, probably the most expensive piece of the Droid Factory line is the Sandcrawler. And I'll pop up a picture. It's quite a lot different than the Trilogy Collection one we had a few years ago. And it's got a kind of mottled sort of leopard effect, a light colour effect. It comes with a unique Jawa and another Gonk droid. And that would probably cost you somewhere in the region of £200, maybe £250 plus. So that was that one. You also had the Droid Factory colour changing set, which came with a colour changing Gonk droid. Really, really rare in the UK. You never see it come up. Probably you have to spend £100 plus shipping if you want to get it from the States. So a really, really rare piece. And then just as rare in the UK, you had the first order evacuation vehicles. Now there were 3 of these, 3 or 4. They all came with an R5 unit, but each R5 unit was a different colour scheme. It was I think there was a yellow, a grey, a blue, and probably a red. But I'll put some pictures up. But they're really, really difficult to get in the UK. Probably about £80 each. And then finally, you had these. You had the Galaxy's Edge trading post droids. And this comes in I've managed to get hold of a display stand, which is really, really nice. There were 6 of these, but they had different versions. So inside you had different R2 units, and then you had an alternative head with some of them. Some of them came with jetpacks. But yeah, quite unique. Little boxes, really neat. And then you had the BB-8 droids, where there was 2 in each pack. So really, really cool droids. Only 6 of those done. They probably cost you, I don't know, about £30 each, £25 each. And like I said, this one comes in the shop display. But there were only 6 of those done. So I think that's it. Actually, there was also a Mickey Jedi Starfighter, which I'll pop up a picture of. That will probably cost you about £80 as well. And obviously then, in the main lines, you did have the Droid Factory packs where you had a droid and a figure, but I've kept that. They weren't necessarily Disney exclusive, so today's episode is about the Disney exclusives, really. So anyway, that's all the content. Let's have a look now at what you'd have to spend to get all the factory, droids, and see what I'd have to spend to finish my collection of them. So it's time for those all-important values, ladies and gentlemen. But before we do that, if you're liking the episode, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more, and check out all my other Figure Focus Line series of videos. So, how much is this series going to cost you? So the single figures alone, there's 44 of them. They would cost you a grand total of £2,066. So an average of £46.95. Now, in the grand scheme of things, that's a high number for individual figures. So, these droid figures are very difficult to get hold of, especially in the UK. And then the build your own droids. Now, as I said, I've just priced up 77 because that's the amount of different domes. But as you've seen in the picture I showed you earlier on, I'll pop it up again. Someone's actually made all the droids that they think they have, and there's over 300. So, you could easily times this £15 average figure by 300 if you want to. But anyway, that gives you a total of 1,155 based on the 77. And then the multi-packs, there are 15 of those, which means about £985 you'd have to spend. And that gives you quite a high average again of £65.67. And then for everything else, and you've got the Sandcrawler, the very difficult Sandcrawler, you've got the evacuation vehicles, Mickey Starfighter, the calendars, the secret crates, the Galaxy's Edge trading post bits and pieces. And to get all of that, you'd have to spend about £1,290, which gives you an average of £47.78. So what does that give you as a final figure for the Droid Factory line, or the Disney exclusives? £5,496, and that's quite a wedge of cash for that line. And it did surprise me, and it surprised me because I need a lot of it. I mean, I need to spend nearly £3,000 to finish the line. I need about 18 of the exclusive figures, 5 multi-packs. I need all the evacuation vehicles. I haven't got the Sandcrawler, and I need some of the secret crates. So, yeah, I'd have to spend nearly £3,000. So, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Nearly £5,500 to get the Droid Factory line. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon with a new episode. Take care. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mando number 5.